3, 2, 1, we're rolling.
Hi, good morning. I'm here to show you how to make one of my baskets. And my director photographer is Shaun Piccinino, who has just finished film American Fighter, which will be in theaters soon. And he just finished California Christmas. So I'm very fortunate to have him filming today and directing. Anyway, these are examples of the little baskets I've made, and it's very simple. So I'm going to show you the process today, and hopefully you'll make one. So let's get started, Shaun. Now the best thing to do is to have your supplies ready, and that is to have 4 2.5-inch strips 45 inches long, like this. You can use a jelly roll, you can use your binding you have extra, you can cut up fabric, it's up to you. Just 4 of these. Now a lot of us have leftover batting, right? What do we do with it? It just stacks up. So what I do is I'm using my leftover batting and I'm cutting it at 2 inches wide, like that. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you want it at least 2 inches wide. So I got a long batting. Anyway, there we go. Now I'm going to take my strip here and I'm going to come, let me go back. The next thing you need to have ready is your interfacing. It can be as thick as you want. I'm using 2 because this is rather thin. And then I pulled a fat quarter where I'm going to be cutting 7 by 7 square or 8 inch if you want. You know, it's just a rough cut. About the size of this. You want 2 pieces. And this is going to be for your circle on the bottom of your basket. And then I want another strip for my binding. And I'm going to cut it at 2.5 inches. I'm then going to cut this in half. And you're going to be ready to go. So I have this. I have my interfacing. I have the bottom. I have my strip. Now, I already have 3 strips done. So I'm going to show you how to do one. These are my 3 strips that I've already done. Now I've used K-Facet because I love K-Facet, as you all know. There's a lot of ironing in this, and you need a steam iron. So be careful not to burn yourself. You're going to lay your batting in the middle. You're going to fold over right here in the center, and the other side is going to meet. So they both meet, okay? There was some question about that yesterday. So there you go. And you're going to iron. You're going to steam it. And I made sure I have plenty of water in my iron. I hold it down. It's just going to make things easier if you do it this way. And what I did is I got all my strips ironed down first before I started sewing. So, you know, if you're a little organized, it just makes things easy. It's up to you. Now, this is going to create a bowl with 4 different colors. You'll see. If you want a bowl with 8 different colors, then what you would do is you would have a strip that was 2.5 inches long, 2.5 inches wide, and 21 to 22 inches long. It can't be any less than that. So you could use a fat quarter and cut it up. Okay, there we go. Now, the next thing is I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it in half, okay? So that it's meeting, because you're going to be sewing that. So you want to make sure that it's meeting. Steam it down. Don't burn your fingers. I've done that. That's my dog in the background. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. Now you see I have a little extra. I'm just gonna cut that off. I left a little bit here and you'll see why. Okay, my next step is I'm going to be sewing this together. And let me get my sewing machine going. I think the part that takes the longest is this part right here. The rest is very easy. This is my embroidery machine. I just love it. So it has a nice stitch. So I'm going to give it a stitch of the length 2.5. That's a nice stitch. You don't need a real tight one for this. It's just to keep this together. And what I want to do is make sure that we catch the back. And you're going to sew it about 1/8 of an inch. We don't want 1/4. You'll see why. Let me get this started. Okay. Here we go. And you know, at first you might have to go slow. Just make sure those two meet up. So you're catching the back end. Sometimes I pull it a little bit. Because remember, it is thick. It does have like 2 layers of batting. Now, there's a lot of pressing in this. A lot of steam because you do have batting. You want to make sure that you don't have a lot of bumps and stuff. Almost there. I'm making this a kind of a crazy basket just because. Can you see that stitch and see how it's catching? And it's a nice stitch. You know, if you make a mistake, it's okay. This is very forgiving. There we go. Cut it. And now I'm going to steam it, okay? There we go. Always make sure you have enough water. It does use a lot. Okay, so now my next step. As I said, these have already been sewn. Now we're going to use a zigzag stitch. So you need a machine that does that. And I am going to make the width 7. That's the highest this machine goes. And then I'm going to do the length at, I found 3.5 works good. 3.0 is good too. But 3.5 is nice. You don't want a real tight zigzag. You're just holding it together and it's sort of decorative. And I'm going to put, you have to decide where you want your colors. Since I have a light here and a dark here, I'm going to put my light here. Okay. I need to do it this way. Now, one of the things that when you sew it, you see that seam that you just did? Make sure that all of your seams are either to the right or to the left when you do it. The reason for that, it just looks nicer. Okay, I see I goofed here, but I'll fix that. Okay, here we go. Now my needle is on my right side. I can see that. So I'm gonna start. Make sure you just catch it. It's really fast. See? You see that stitch? Now if you ever made one of those rugs, this is basically the same thing. You're going to use that same stitch. And those that haven't made a rug, we're thinking about maybe giving a class in that. So, see, you'll have this down already. See how fast this goes? Uh-oh, something happened here. Ooh, I didn't have the full length. I've got a problem. Okay, well, that means I have to get another fabric. I don't know how that happened. I thought I measured it all. It should be 45. Huh. Or is it? Oh, it isn't. Okay, I'm going to go to my stack here. So this is good to learn. I'm going to find, I don't think I can find anything comparable. So you know what? I'm just going to put anything. That's okay. This happened to me yesterday. You know, we all make mistakes, right? So I think this leftover piece will work. So what am I going to do again? I'm going to come over here and do this. I don't need the whole piece. See, I make mistakes. We all do. Like I said, this is going to be a crazy bowl or basket, but that's okay. That should do it. Cut the rest off. So if you make a mistake like that and didn't measure like I should have, let's see, where is it? I stopped here, right? So I'm just gonna take a few stitches out. Take a few stitches out here. Everything can be fixed, right? Open this up like this. They say, measure twice, cut once. Well, I should have measured twice. So I'm just gonna do a straight stitch. Put it together. Here we go. Maybe I need to add a little bit more. See that zigzag? It's very easy to rip out. Okay, here we go. Straight stitch. Trim it a little bit because it's kind of thick. And go back to my iron and steam the heck out of that. There we go. All right, now I've got my straight stitch going, and we'll just come here. I'm gonna go slow because I don't want to break a needle. That's really thick. That's what happens when you're too fast. When you think you know it all. You make stupid mistakes like this. Okay. Cut that off. And I'm going to iron it again. Steam it. Steam it. Come back and do my zigzag. Remember the width was 7 inches. My length is 3.5, which might be different on your machine. Okay, here we go. Start up here. Trust me, nobody will see your mistake. Cut those off later. Voila, it's done. Okay, now the next step. This out of the way. My next step is I'm going to cut this. So I'm going to cut all these raw edges here. Put a new blade in because that's what I did this morning. It just makes it easier because you're cutting a lot of thickness. Okay, you don't need any of that. Now you want to cut it in half. Make sure you cut it in half. I'm measuring here, and this is 21 inches, which is what you want. Any less than that, you might run into problems. Okay, I'm going to put this here just to make sure. There we go. Okay, I'm going to cut it. So there's the makings of a bowl. Now you can decide, do you want it this way? Do you want it this way? Your colors, okay? Whatever way you want. I think I'm going to go with the dark on the bottom, on the top rather, because this will be the bottom. Your bottom's going to be where your stitching is, and you'll see why. So next I'm going to sew these together with a zigzag. And your bowl is almost done. That was? They're the makings of a bowl, right? And it's going to overlap. So what do we do again? We're going to steam the heck out of this again. We're going to try and straighten it up. If it isn't straight, it's no big deal. It's going to be a round basket, so it's okay. Okay, I'm going to look at it again. Does it need any trimming? Probably just a little bit. Here, you want it to be straight. This. Trim it. It's still good because there's enough overlapping. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put binding on it. You want it to look nice. Okay, I've got to fix this right here because if you can see, it didn't catch for some reason. And if you look at it and you see, oh, the stitches didn't catch, just go back and fix it, because that happens sometimes. Nobody will see it. I used a gray thread on this, but, you know, pick a thread that's complementary to what you're doing. All right, now, the bindings are going to go here. And I was showing them yesterday a different way of doing it, but I changed it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a regular binding. Let's see, put it right there. Hopefully that's right. So we're going to put these, iron these two sides down, fold it over like this. And we're going to come sew it. Now I got to switch my stitch again. And I'll go to a 2.5, it's okay. Okay, what I like to do is hold these threads down just for security. So let's just do a straight stitch, like 1/8 of an inch. We're not using quarters. Just sew that down. Because we're using a zigzag, and a zigzag isn't, you know, that sturdy. So we'll go to the other side, and do that too. There we go. Okay, we're still on the stitch. So we're going to do like a regular binding. So there is your pieces that meet. You're going to put it like that, the end, and you can do 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to secure it, go back and forth. There's my 1/4 inch. Do a back stitch, secure it, cut it. And there we go. And we're going to turn it over, and then I'm going to show you how to do a fancy stitch. Because you can hand sew it. I'm not going to. You could do a straight stitch, but I'm not going to. I'm going to show you that fancy stitch after I do the next one. Okay. Let's just iron one side down. Measure it. Let's see. Sort of eyeball it. There we go. fold it over, wrong sides together, and now we're going to sew it. Okay. Now, we did it on this side, so we want to do it on this side too, okay? Don't make the mistake of doing opposites. 1/4 inch, secure it, come back. Oh, it's a little bit too long on this side. That's okay. We can fix that, right? Here we go. Secure it. Cut it. Okay, now I'm going to iron this down. We have a nice binding. Iron there, turn it over. Okay. Next step. I'm going to do a fancy stitch because I can with my machine. I'm going to do a serpentine. Careful, Shaun, don't burn yourself. And let's see. I'll start here. Sometimes it's hard getting started. Okay. And you can do 2 serpentines if you want. Do a fancy stitch. I mean, we all have fancy stitches on our machine. You can do more than one if you want. Doesn't really matter. See how that is? Let's see how it is on that side. So we're going to do the same thing here. Okay. It's hard to get it started sometimes because it's so thick. But you get the idea. There we go. I'm going to iron it one more time, just for the heck of it. Okay, so my next step is we're going to be doing the circle, which is the bottom. You want 2 pieces of fabric, one for the bottom and one for the top. We're not turning this inside out. This is, you'll see how I do it. It's a little trick I learned from somebody. Iron these down. Now this particular interfacing has glue on it where you can iron down, but I found it's not that good, so it doesn't really matter. So there's one interfacing, there's the other one, and that goes on the bottom like that, and this goes on top. So you see that? They're the same. Now you need a 6-inch circle. It cannot be any bigger than that. If it is any bigger, and then your flaps will not overlap. Trust me, I know I've done it. Doesn't matter if you use a pin. I'm going to use a pin. This happens to be the inside of one of those round cookie things that you get, and it's perfect. The cookie and the cover is 6.5. It didn't work. Okay. So I'm just going to draw a circle here. Or you can use a pencil, whatever, depending on what color your fabric is. Now, this is going to be your sewing line, okay? Now, this is to give it stability, and what I do is, I don't know if you can see the circle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do an X, like a pie, but I want to make sure it's, okay, see that's 6 inches from the center, and half of 6 is 3. So that's my center. So I want to draw a straight line, and it can be off the circle. It doesn't matter, okay? And so let's do it this way too. I want to get the center of that, which is 3 inches. This is just a guide when you're sewing, okay? Then I'm going to do it again, and then I'm going to do it one more time. Okay. Now, you can pin this if you want. Where are my pins? So that they stay together. Okay. So you've got the top and the bottom. You don't need to do both sides. No point. Okay, we're going to do a straight stitch again. So I'm going to go back to my straight stitch. And, you know, it can be a 2.5, 3, doesn't matter. Don't make it real small. This is just to help you when you're sewing. So I'm just going to start anywhere. And I'm going to use that, follow that circle. Not a 1/4 of an inch or anything. That's my dog again. All right, now go slow because you want to make sure you have a good circle. Okay, don't go fast. Just pivot slowly. Here we go. And you're going to have a nice 6-inch circle. Now, if you have an embroidery machine, you can embroider a design on it, which I've done. Let me see, let me show you one of them. No, not that one. Here's one here. And I think, no, I didn't do that one yet. You can try your stippling, and great practice. And who's going to really see the bottom? Okay, there's my circle, right? I'm going to take my pins out. So together now, with my straight stitch, I'm going to do my lines. You can come outside, it doesn't matter because you're going to be cutting that off. This just gives it more stability, especially if you don't have an interfacing that's real heavy. And you know, your top and your bottom can be different colors if you choose. That's up to you. You can be as creative as you want to be. I think that's what's fun about this. You know, if you want to add more lines to this, go for it. We're almost done. Okay. Now, we are going to cut this with my scissors. Okay. Now, we're going to cut around this circle. Shaun, can you see this? Let me do it over here. Maybe that would be better. Okay. So, these scissors are not that good. Okay. I am going to cut close. Okay. Maybe about 1/8 of an inch, not a 1/4. Okay. Can you see that? You know, you can get as close as you can without cutting those stitches. And, you know, this is such a great way of using all your old scraps up. I mean, you can piece your strips together if you want. You can be real creative. These baskets are great for storing things or whatever. I store my scissors in them. Okay, there you go. Well, that didn't come out too well, but that's okay. That can be the inside. But see how nice that is? All right, now, next to the last part, we're going to do a straight stitch. 2.5 is fine, or maybe let's do a 2. 2 might be better. All right, decide what you want on your inside and outside. If there's a difference, if you made a real big mistake, because you're going to be turning this inside out. Take some of these. You know, it looks fine. Okay, so this was going to be my inside, so that's going to be on top because I'm going to turn inside out. Let's see, inside out. No, the other way around. This will be the inside. So that's my bad side. So that's going to go on the bottom. And I'm going to start here. Now, remember where you sewed it together? You've got that straight line. That's what you're going to sew on against this. And you're not going to be doing a 1/4 of an inch. You're going to be doing like 1/8 of an inch. Okay, this is the hard part. You have to go slow because you're doing a curve. So I'm going to start before that, and then I'm going to reinforce it. Okay, go back and forward again. And what you want to do is ease this in. See how they're going to meet like this? And you're going to be sewing on that same line. Slowly, because it's thick. Remember, you've got double batting, and then you've got the bottom. So just ease it in. You know, sticking your tongue out helps too, I think. Okay. You don't want to do it real taut. You just want to ease it in. If you make a mistake, take it out, rip it out, and start again. It's okay. Just make sure you catch that bottom. Now see how I'm twisting it? Okay. And I'm not going fast. Can you see that, Shaun?
Mm-hmm.
The reason I have a Band-Aid on is I stuck my finger with a pin and it was bleeding. I'm always doing something. Okay, here we go. Kind of get that over there. I think this is probably the hardest part. Now, there's other YouTubes out there. I looked at a YouTube. I had the pattern. Pattern didn't help me. Watched the YouTube and figured out I'd do it my own way. They had you put a binding on the bottom and the top, and I didn't like it. It looked awful. So that's why I don't have another binding. Now, if you want to make this taller, you just add more strips. If you don't want it as tall, less strips. It's up to you. It's your basket. If you want to make it bigger, get a bigger circle and longer strips. Okay, see how this is? This is going to go on the inside. Okay, it's going to overlap. Well, no, sorry, this way. It's going to overlap this way. Sorry. Okay. Now go real slow here because you've got a lot of thickness. You don't want to break a needle. Ease that in, push that down. There we go. We're getting there. Push that down. Turn it a little bit. Okay, now we're also going to reinforce it, so I'm going to go backwards. Ooh, I'm going to go forwards. I didn't break my needle, almost did. Okay, I'm going to cut it. And you have a basket. Now we're going to turn it inside out. You know, you can use something to make this turn easier inside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to steam, so stand back, Shaun. I don't want to get you. I'm going to steam this. Burn yourself. Might have to do it a couple times, but you know, this loosens up the fabric so that you can now mold it to a circle. See, you don't see any seams. That's where that thickness is right there. Anyway, play with it a little bit. Now, the last thing you have to do, here's your bowl. See how neat that is? And then you're just going to match up these, pin it, and you're going to hand sew. Just to tack it in so it closes. Now what I do is I just tack right here, or you could just sew along here, you know, a hidden stitch. and then a hidden stitch here with, this would be green thread. You can put a button on it. You can put shells on it like I did. You can put spools of little thread. I found some in my junk drawer, and I just wrapped thread around it. I got seashells from the beach and just put a little hole in it with the Dremel. This one was real easy. You can do all kinds of things. I had some raffia, so I used raffia and a stick I found outside. I mean, they make nice little gifts or whatever. Stick your scissors in, your masks in, or whatever you want. But that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you make one. Let me know how it comes out. And see you next time. And thank you, Shaun. Be sure and watch his movies. He's an up-and-coming director. And maybe he'll be at the Academy Awards someday. And we'll be cheering him on. Thank you, guys.